Welcome back, everybody. Sorry, a few minutes late here. Getting used to being back in my apartment again. John Aravosis here with the Aravosis Report. Welcome all. Here to talk to you about the latest news from Ukraine. Let me know if my volume is working, hopefully, for YouTube and you guys. You can hear me all, I'm hoping. Fine. Let me get TikTok rolling as well. All right. Give me a little comment so I know that you can hear me. Didn't put on the overhead lights. Shoot, I forgot about that. It's okay. I like to have all my lights set up like those. What is it? Those lights I like to have on when I start. But alas, I will survive. All right, let me get TikTok rolling here. Actually, hang on a sec here. Other settings off. TikTok. All right, live. Okay, it's not working. Hold on. Or is it not connected? Hang on. No, wrong mic. Now I'm on my good mic. How is this for you guys now? Now it's okay. Now it should be fine because it moved to my good mic. I didn't have my good mic connected, It's so weird to like changing locations. Everything gets screwy. All right, going live here. Worse. It shouldn't be worse. Don't give me worse. What do you mean worse? The mic should adjust itself. Hang on. The mic should adjust itself. Otherwise, I'll turn it up. There, I've turned it up a little, but the mic is self-adjusting, so the volume should kick in to be normal. Okay, good. There we go. All right, get rolling on TikTok. Here we go. Boop. And hopefully we are good now. There we go. Excellent. I'm even gonna, hold on, I'm gonna wipe my mic on TikTok, my camera on TikTok. There we go. All right. As I said, it's always like drama when I'm changing locations and things, Welcome, TikTokers. Hey, Alex and David, among others, Tim Harper. Woo. All right, man, finally, we had a little glitch. It's always very confusing for me when I change locations. Thank you, Jetta. I haven't done it here for my apartment in DC in a month. So it's it throws me for a loop a little bit when I'm trying to figure out my everything here. Oops, let's do that. Thank you. Who is that? Thank you, Tomcat there. Let me look here. The mic should be my auto-adjustable mic. Yeah, the mic should be adjusting itself. So the mic should be evening itself out. So for you guys, I mean. Anyway, hello all. Hey guys, I am back in Washington. I know I'm a little late. Sorry. Thank you, John S., for the gifts. Marv as well. But yeah, a little bit, thank you, Ava. A little bit behind today. So we're here now. And actually, you know what I did too, actually? I had, because I was Central Time in Chicago, I set up the time wrong too. So I actually set it up for the wrong, I set up the time for 5 p.m. Eastern, which was totally crazy too. Hey, Arifa, good to see you. So yeah, anyway, we're good now. I'm good now. Anyway, so yeah, let's wait a minute or so, guys, for folks to join us, for the message to sort of go out on TikTok and YouTube, etc. And then we will start. But as always, introduce yourselves, say where you are from. Thank you, Himha. Hey, LWD, thank you for the gift. Military man, well, why has it been ages? The war needs you, so to speak. All right, I am back home. Hey, Jamal. I like visiting Chicago. I like visiting my mom. But it also is nice to be home, like your own place. Hey, Chad. Even though home in Chicago is my home. Hey, Big Hawk, thank you for that as well. But your own apartment, kind of just relax. Hey, Succeed. Thank you for the gift. Yeah, another half minute, guys, and then we'll get rolling. Just for folks to, like I said, folks to kind of arrive. Anyway, busy news day. Yeah, busy news day. There's more than enough news, so I suspect I'm going to go a little long, but I always do. Hey, thank you, David, for the hearts there. What was I looking for? Okay, I don't have it. I can use this, I guess. Hello. Oh, Udachny. Vinogradnik. Hello from Kherson. Hello from Washington. Oh boy, you remind me of my Harvard computer science professor. I don't know how to take that one. Is he? Well, I'm a little bit of a geek. I can definitely be a geek. This is true, actually. I've got my Star Trek love. Hey, Mads, thank you for that. All right, guys, I'm going to get rolling here. Thank you, LWD. And who was that? Allie. Thank you, Allie, for that. All right, guys, I'm going to get rolling. So welcome. Thank you, LWD. And who was that? Oh, Konkarangan. I remember you. The package was supposed to arrive today and didn't, so I assume it's arriving tomorrow. Klaus, hey Marcy, thank you for that. I just got back for Saturday night. Yeah, so I told them to deliver today and they didn't. So I have to kind of, although of course tomorrow I have a doctor's appointment, which I guarantee you they're going to come when I have the doctor's appointment. It's almost like a guarantee, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, because they're requiring signature, like I said. All right, guys, let me get rolling. So welcome. I am John Aravosis. This is the Aravosis Report. Thank you, LWD. This is my nightly show where we talk about the latest news from Ukraine. Thank you, Chazek. I just messaged you on Discord, by the way, Chazek. And Ongskunk from Mariupol. Hey, Ongskunk, good to see you. So the way the show works, guys, is I go through the news for the day and try to pick the stories that I think are important, that tell you a little bit of what's going on, that give you a sense of how things are going, basically stories that I think have a larger meaning or whatever. And then take your guys' questions for the second half of the show. I do, as a way of sort of thanking contributors, I have a way you can do on YouTube. It's been so long. It's been like 4 days that I've had to give this pitch, and I'm bad at it again. 3 days. On YouTube, you can do super chat questions, and super chat questions I will always get to immediately. So if you want to ask a question right now and you want to support my work, do a super chat question. Otherwise, super stickers, the gifts on TikTok, I will always do a shout out when I see the gifts. The gifts on TikTok, the bigger gifts, the ones that like fly on my head and all that stuff, I will always do a shout out when I see those. So thank you. And otherwise, just thank you guys for supporting my work. You have been wonderful this last year and a half, and I do this full time. So if you can help me, I appreciate that. Now, let me start okay. I'll start with my usual start, and then I've got a quick little, a different fundraiser we're doing, although we're trying to help Amanda as well. This is day 565 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation. We are starting a new fundraiser today. This is a quick one. This one will not take long, I think, but we are raising money. Only $700 is all we need for a sniper school in Ukraine. My friend Vlad, who you guys who joined the weekend show and some of the other stuff are familiar with Vlad. Vlad is sort of the guy a longtime friend in Ukraine, but we coordinate a lot of our fundraising with Vlad because he has the contacts with the military and the civilian charities. Well, he has a friend in the military, was a top sniper, got injured. So now he's no longer able to snipe, so to speak, but he does trainings. He trains Ukrainian troops on being, long target shooters, right? And he needs 2 things for the training. This is not the richest military in the world. Obviously, we're giving them a lot of aid overall, but it's not like all of it trickles down to every small unit. They need 2 things worth $700 total. They need a weather station, which I found absolutely fascinating, to train the troops how to use a little weather station. And they use it to I guess, figure out if you're a sniper and your bullets are going such a long distance, you've got to know the wind and all this kind of stuff. Way over my head. Thank you, Darian. But they need a weather station to train these guys on. The wind speed, exactly. Windage. Oh, windage. Okay, fancy. There's a word I didn't even know existed from Joe and Big Hawk. Windage. You need to know the windage, I guess. And they need a long distance measuring device. I was calling it a scope, and Vlad said, no, it's not a scope. It literally is a device I guess you use to measure the distance because it's all part of the calculation you do as a sniper. Anyway, we are trying to raise $700 for the Ukrainian troops. That's all they need for one of the trainers to have the weather station he needs and the rangefinder. Thank you, Dan. That's what we call it. The rangefinder in order to train a lot of other Ukrainian troops how to become snipers. So if you want to help, you can go to my URL, the link in my bio on TikTok, click the link, and the very first one that comes up will be Vlad's PayPal information. Just give the money directly to Vlad. Vlad is the guy who coordinates all of this. He's in Ukraine. It's not a link or anything. You just have to go into your PayPal and enter Vlad's PayPal. For you guys, I can pull it up really quick. 1 second here. That is Vlad's PayPal. So anybody who wants to help, like I said, we only need $700. It was a very quick request, but as I've said before, thank you, McFadge. I like doing these kind of little quick fundraisers because to me, it's fun to sort of raise money for specific things that we know are actually benefiting people. You can give money to organizations. For my taste, organizations, I often worry it's just going to salaries and stuff. But in any case, we've raised over $100,000 for Ukraine since the war started. 100% of that has gone to Ukraine. 100% of this fundraiser will go to Ukraine. But if you can help, donate. And I will tell you this, if If by chance you are also ridiculously generous, thank you, Throttle Pinned for the confetti. If by chance you are also ridiculously generous and we meet the $700 during the show and we go over, Vlad will apply it to our next fundraiser. And the next fundraiser, by the way, very likely, thank you, Charles, could be we want to buy some extenders for their drones. Basically, the extenders allow the drones to go even farther because it allows them to stay in contact with the drone operator. It's akin to an extender you might use for your Wi-Fi in your house, right? So anyway, I will apply any extra beyond the 700 to our next fundraiser, so don't worry. Anyway, if you guys can help, thank you for that. Can't tell you, Cliff. I don't know what they are. It's Ukrainian military training, you know. All right, guys, let me get rolling on the news then. Thank you, Canada Zenz and McFadge. So one of the big stories today is Kim Jong-un, the leader of North Korea, dictator of North Korea, is on his way to Russia right now. He may have already arrived. He is going to have a summit with Putin in Vladivostok, which is southeastern Russia, right on the Pacific there. I don't know if it's 150 miles or something, 200 kilometers north of the border with Russia and North Korea. So it's very close. Kim is probably going okay, thanks, Magical. Kim is probably taking his train. He's got this like bulletproof super train that he goes everywhere with. He's super paranoid, which he should be because he's an evil dictator. But he's meeting the other evil dictator, Putin, and they're having a summit. The thinking is that Putin is desperate for aid. He desperately needs artillery. Or artillery shells, I should say, ammunition for artillery. He also needs other weapons, but the artillery, I think, is the big need. And the North Koreans, we believe, or our intelligence believes, are looking for technology for nuclear submarines from the Russians, technology for satellites. For example, the North Koreans don't have GPS. And the Russians have their own GPS system. Frankly, I guess if you're North Korea, even lousy Russian GPS is better than nothing. So they may be trying to get the Russian GPS system, and the North Koreans also need food. They've been starving for a long time. I think I read today the North Korean GDP, which basically means the size of the North Korean economy, in essence, is 2% of the South Korean economy. So the North Korean economy is 2% of the size of the South Korean economy, to give you a sense of what a difference those two countries are. Really poor, North Korea. In any case, summit's going to be starting anytime now. Putin is already in Vladivostok. Actually, at this point, it's overnight. Thank you, Bonnie, for that. A dictator off, exactly. They're already, actually, Vladivostok has got to be, Alexa, what time is it in Vladivostok? Not Buena Vista. Buena Vista? Alexa, what temperature is it in not temperature. Alexa, what time is it in Alexa, what time is it in Vladivostok, Russia?
It's 8:17 a.m.
There we go. It's 8:17 a.m. already, so they actually could be meeting soon. Yeah, they could be meeting soon. Can I ask a question for a donation? Where? Not sure what do you mean? I don't know what that even means. Okay. Are the mods, are you people helping you? Okay, there we go. Sorry, Memento Morant. I wasn't sure what you were asking. You could always ask a question anyway, but on YouTube, there's paid questions you can do on YouTube. None of the other systems have it, unfortunately. And I always say I'll get to those immediately. Otherwise, I just do question free-for-alls, once I'm done with the news. All right, guys. Ukraine. So another big story today. Yeah, sorry for setting off all of your Alexas. Sorry. I set off people's dogs too. When like Sasha goes crazy, everyone tells me their dogs go nuts too. Thank you, JRD. Ukraine regained control of some key oil rigs today. Thank you, Jeddah Mom, in the Black Sea. Now, I don't have the location of the oil rigs, but just to sort of remind you all, thank you, Duke, the Black Sea is down here, okay? It's the sea that borders Ukraine, Russia, Turkey, Bulgaria, Romania. That might be it. I don't know if Georgia has a coast in the Black Sea. I don't recall. Thank you, Pam, for that. The oil rigs, I think, are off of Crimea, I believe. I'm going to guess they're around here. Nonetheless, the Russians stole them back in 2015 or so, and they've been operating them ever since as, Russia's oil, even though it's Ukraine's oil. Well, the Ukrainians were able to get back several of the oil rigs today, which is a great idea. I mean, a great thing. The rigs have been used in addition to oil. The rigs have been used, thank you, Life, for military purposes such as landing sites for helicopters. Russia has also installed radar installations and long-range missile systems used to attack Ukraine and defend against strikes on Russian installations in Crimea. Thank you, Catholic. So this is a big deal because, as we said, thank you, Pam, it not only takes away sort of a launching pad for Russia, for helicopters and things like that, they were using this location on the oil rigs with some air defense systems to stop the Ukrainians from attacking Crimea, which means Crimea is now more vulnerable, which is great. The operation involved a battle between Ukrainian special forces on boats and a Russian Su-30 fighter jet, according to Ukraine's military intelligence. Ukraine says they took a stockpile of helicopter munitions and a radar system that they will now use to track the movement of ships. Now, one thing I had read about this was it's not clear the Ukrainians are going to, thank you, Pam and Catholic Believer, for the gifts. It's not clear that Ukraine is going to hold the sites, that it may be too dangerous because literally they'd be sitting on top of a oil rig and the Russians would come in and bomb them. Thank you, America. So it's not clear whether the Ukrainians went in just to kind of take it out, steal the weapons and things that were there, but also at least temporarily. Actually, one thing I'd be curious about, thank you, Catholic, is I'd be curious if, thank you, Lori, for the gift on TikTok. I'd be worried. I'm not worried. I'm curious if the Ukrainians might be planning some big attack on Crimea and they wanted to take out the radar first, right? Right. They took the radar, which is good anyway, because they've got the radar, but I wonder whether they were trying to take out the radar, so to speak, in preparation for something else happening tonight. Let's see. In any case, always good news anyway. In the counteroffensive, not a ton of news, although thank you, adventurers. Our weekend show, I still wanted to put this video up. Sorry. We did our weekend show yesterday. I was flying on Saturday back from Chicago. And on Sunday, we have a weekend show that we do with the paid monthly subscribers. Thank you, David. Actually, one of you had asked, so I might as well reply for everybody. When you subscribe on TikTok with the monthly subscription on TikTok, you will then join us on Saturday morning on TikTok for the private show. All the other subscribers, YouTube, Discord, Twitch, Ko-fi, thank you, Arifa. All the rest of you will join us on Discord because somebody who had subscribed on YouTube tried to come on TikTok. They unfortunately don't cooperate. So they all work differently, just so you know. In any case, Vlad came on the show this weekend and it was very interesting. He was giving us updates about sort of everything with maps and everything. Very interesting, like a half hour. It was quite complicated. But two of the main points he made, which are also in the news right now, which is interesting, is Ukrainian forces have liberated part of the village of, oh boy, I don't know how to say this, Opitne, oh boy, Opitne, I don't know, Opytne. I know we're going to get into a big fight now about how to pronounce this, but it is a town that is, I believe, just a little northwest of Donetsk. Now, what is interesting about that, Donetsk over here, Ukrainian town occupied by the Russians. I know it does sound like Putin, doesn't it? Occupied by the Russians. They're a little bit north. What is interesting about this is the Ukrainian troops, Opitne. Okay, there you go. So the Y is E. Opitne. Actually, it helps. Thank you, Udachny. See, Udachny. I have to see it in like Russian or Ukrainian to be able to pronounce it. Because in English, I have no idea what those letters are supposed to mean. And I do speak Russian, which means sometimes I make the Ukrainian names a little Russian. But Opitne, I can see by the way you wrote it. Thank you for that. It's a little bit north of Donetsk. But what is interesting is they are reportedly within like 2 kilometers, a mile and a third of the main airport for Donetsk. Thank you, Beats. That's a big deal because this is a large city in the east that the Russians control, right? So that's a good deal. Vlad also said that, around Bakhmut. So Bakhmut, you recall, is the city up here. This is the town that the Russians spent like 11 months trying to conquer, and finally the Wagner Group troops were able to win the area. Well, what is interesting about this? It's a yi. Is it a yi like Bila? Bila is one of my favorite words in Russian. I don't even know if you say it in Ukrainian because it's like Bila, Bila. It's ui. It's this funny E sound they make, at least in Russian. That's very weird to like an American, actually to any kind of Western language, I would say, really, or European language. So it's ui. Okay. In any case, yes. So Bakhmut. So Bakhmut's the town here that the Wagner Group took a few weeks ago. Bila was correct. So you say that in Ukrainian too. Okay. I just love that. Bila. It's because you sound very like Dracula when you say that, you know. Thank you, Big Hawk. The Ukrainians, Vlad said this weekend, I saw a report that they took part of the city. Vlad says the Ukrainians have pretty much taken most of Klishivka, which is a town just south, a little bit southwest of Bakhmut, right here. But what is important about it is high up and it is overlooking Bakhmut. So the Ukrainians are now basically looking down on the Russians in Bakhmut, and it puts them in a really interesting position in terms of firing artillery and just other attacks on the Russians down below, because basically it's hard for the Russians to shoot up at the Ukrainians, and it's great if you're up above shooting down. So that's some good news there. Memento. Oh, thank you, Memento More, asking a question here. A super chat question. What economic gains from U.S. EU support for Ukraine? Are you asking, and feel free, by the way, just to do a follow-up without paying. Are you asking, are there any economic gains for the US and Europe in helping Ukraine? Like, does it help our economies at all? I have an answer for that if you're asking that. But what economic gains from US, EU support for Ukraine? Or are you asking if we're trying to help Ukraine's economy as well, in addition to helping militarily? Okay. Oh, Ukrainian E is like Russian E. Okay. Anyway, okay. Sorry. Let me know. Follow up on that, Memento, and then I will answer. But again, you don't have to pay for a follow-up, obviously. But let me know. Ukraine said this weekend that, and this was reported by the Wall Street Journal, that they think they may be flying American F-16s by as early as next February. Thank you for the gift there, Nicola. They believe that the U.S. could train experienced English-speaking pilots in as little as 5 months. So they're saying the pilots that already are fluent in English and fluent enough in English that they can handle, the training for the F-16s. Now, let's see. I mean, this is going to take two things. One, it's going to actually at least two things. One, it's going to take these guys actually finishing their training in just 4 or 5 months. It's possible. Let's see. Finishing the training, thank you, Nick, also means, and Bonnie, it also means that the trainers are confident enough in the pupils so that after 4 or 5 months, thank you, Eddie and Red, when the training is finished, the trainers actually say, yeah, I think these guys know it well enough that we should be confident to give them the F-16s. That's the first problem. Second of all, the Biden administration has to want to give the F-16s to Ukraine that quickly. I am not convinced. I'm not convinced at all. Memento, like I said, make sure you give me that follow-up as to what you meant there. That was a question. I'm not convinced Biden really wants to give Ukraine these planes. I think eventually he's going to. I think he's drawing it out as long as possible so that the last thing he's going to want to do is expedite them. That's my fear. Let's see, but that's my fear. Mentor, here we go. Okay, Mentor has a follow-up. Yes, what economic benefits will come from supporting Ukraine? I see. Okay. Will this be beneficial in the future for both our economies? For example, control of the Black Sea, access to natural resources. Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. God, I haven't even thought of that. Maybe I'm too nice that I haven't thought of that. Okay, up until now, other than Crimea, Ukraine was free up until last year, right? So the U.S. certainly had access to the Ukrainian market, right? As did the Europeans in principle. Now, my suspicion would be after the war, assuming things keep going the way they're going, the Ukrainians are going to be very thankful or grateful to the Americans and the Europeans. So you never know. They may be willing to reach trade deals or something else that are very beneficial for American and European countries to invest in Ukraine, maybe even to take part ownership of Ukrainian companies. I mean, you could see a lot of changes like that potentially. Thank you, Bonnie. Any kind of protectionist measures that might have been in place, they might lift some of them. I don't know the details of them, however. But as far as the stuff that Ukraine has, we already had access to it in principle, right? Like we could already buy their grain. We could already get stuff like that. So I'm not sure about that. I mean, I do think, thank you, JV. I do think there's an issue of weapons spending often helps the economy. Okay. I mean, sorry, my nose, as always, my nose itches whenever I do the show. World War II was the best example, was the biggest example. But when a company goes into when a country goes into a war economy, it's a lot of government spending, and that government spending helps the economy. I mean, as much as some of the anti-Ukraine people in our country talk about, oh, why aren't we spending this money in America? Well, in a way, we kind of are. I mean, we're giving them Ukrainian or American weapons, and then we're having to buy those weapons again from American companies, right? So that actually does help the American economy, and I would say the European economy overall. It is just like it literally is the government pumping money into the defense industry. And, some people don't like the defense industry, but you know what? It's still a company. It still employs Americans and Europeans, and they still pay taxes, which is beneficial. Now, again, you can have your own debate as to whether you like money going to defense companies and all of that. Fair enough, right? But that's the kind of stuff I think of. Artemka in Odessa, nice to see you. That's the kind of stuff I think of. Now, if they were to get Crimea back, the Ukrainians get back a lot of their oil too, which is interesting, right? Now, I don't know, would they be willing to reach some deal with oil for America or Europe? I don't even know that we need their oil. We don't import a lot of oil in the US, really. But that's a really interesting question. I just don't know the answer because I haven't really been thinking of it. I will say this. That is also one of the things that I'm always criticizing Biden for this. We should be talking about, right? Biden should be talking about, and our government should be talking about the benefits of this relationship. And frankly, talking about what the economic benefits are too. Why not? People are selfish, right? Americans and Europeans want to know what they're getting. I mean, some of us want to just help, but other ones want to know, okay, what's my country getting out of this? We should be talking about how it benefits our countries strategically, militarily, but also economically. So I think you're right. I mean, I think you're right. My suspicion is you were I'm adjusting the temperature in my apartment because now I'm freezing. My suspicion is you might have been sort of hinting at that. That's funny. So I don't want to get into all the questions now, but Paul has a funny one or an interesting one. Would the U.S. consider putting a military base in Ukraine? I don't think Joe Biden would. Biden seems to be really, really, really not wanting to piss off Vladimir Putin. Let's see how things go after the war. But I think a military base would have been safer for Ukraine, right? I mean, you basically call it a tripwire where you put, our troops there or NATO troops or whatever. And if Russia wants to bomb, Russia now has to worry that they're going to bomb American or NATO troops. Thank you, Pedro. The problem, though, is that people who oppose such things would have a good argument because they'd say, well, if you put an American base in Ukraine and the Russians attack, you're making Americans go to war with Russia. Thank you again, Pedro. Oh, and the lizard, the chameleon man, or maybe alligator. I can't tell what it is. So that could be an issue too, right? But I do kind of feel like bases would be a good idea. The Russians will hate it. I don't particularly care what the Russians feel. I would say what you want to make sure is that the Russians, like this time, frankly, we should have put troops in Ukraine when Russia was massing troops. We should have put our own troops. Now, the American people might not have been big fans of that because we just went through 2 decades of bad wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. So, people are a little less interested in doing excursions abroad. But had we put troops, NATO troops all over Ukraine and told Putin, I said this from the beginning. Putin said from the beginning, we're not going to invade. I would have said, oh, that's wonderful. You're not going to invade. Well, that's great. Then we're going to put NATO peacekeepers all over Ukraine to make sure there's the peace. And there's no danger of a problem because you said you're not invading. So we're putting 10,000 NATO peacekeepers in. No problem. And then watch Putin go, So another story here. Reuters. Oh, yeah. President of Brazil, such an idiot. Lula this weekend said that Vladimir Putin is welcome. What meeting is it they're having? I'm forgetting now. It's not the the G20 they're just having in India. I'm already forgetting what I don't remember why Putin was talking about coming to Brazil. What meeting is coming up in Brazil, guys? What am I forgetting here? There's some meeting coming up in Brazil. Is it the BRICS summit? Well, there was a BRICS summit in South Africa in August. Is it the BRICS summit again? There's some meeting here. Okay, G20 next year. That makes sense. Okay. I remember it being G20, but I was going to be, that makes no sense because we just had the G20 in India. It's G20 next year. That's why. Okay. So the G20, which is like 20 of the world's largest economies, having the meeting in India right now, having it in Brazil next year. In India, Putin decided not to come because, he was a little afraid of getting arrested, which was interesting. And the Brazilian president, Lula, who's kind of an idiot. I mean, he's better than the previous guy, but he's still kind of an idiot, said this weekend, Vladimir Putin is welcome to come to Brazil. We won't arrest him. My government would never arrest him. Mind you, there's a international criminal court, what do you call it? Arrest warrant out for Putin because he's been kidnapping Ukrainian children and committing war crimes. And that's a big deal. War crimes bad, right? Well, Lula has now stepped back and said, oh, no, well, what I would do is if Putin wants to come, I would submit it to the courts of Brazil and the courts of Brazil will decide what should happen. I mean, that's a little better because at least from what I've seen on the outside, the Brazilian courts do seem to rule good things sometimes. I mean, they're not, at least, again, I'm not an expert on Brazilian courts, but they seem to go against sort of the corruption and things like that. But he then threw in that, but at the same time, Lula wants to rethink Brazil's involvement in the International Criminal Court because of this. And you're like, the guy's committing genocide. He's committing genocide. And it drives me a little crazy because I get really annoyed with Latin America and Africa both on this. They like to play this game. And frankly, it's almost what's the word I'm looking for? It's very childish, but it's almost self-deprecating in a way. It's almost self-critical that, we're Africans. Oh, we're Latino. We're Latin Americans, right? We're not developed. So it's okay for us not to, I don't know how to put this. The idea that they wouldn't care about colonialism and imperialism and a country invading its old, mind you, a country invading its neighbor who it used to occupy and control, the very definition of colonialism, and that Africans and Latinos, not Latinos, but Latin Americans wouldn't understand the problem there and that they would defend it. And frankly, that they're defending it simply because, the white man disagrees with me. I mean, that's basically it, right? Europe and America, frankly, it reminds me of some people in my country where they just disagree about something because Biden believes it. So therefore they're against it. Right. Right. Biden says Ukraine's good. Ukraine must be bad. And the idea that just because, the Europeans and the Americans say genocide's bad, they're suddenly okay with genocide. And they're like from countries that literally experienced colonialism firsthand, but they're like, oh no, it's okay now. It's okay. It's okay. No big deal. No, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And you can be white, you can be black, you can be any color. You should always be calling out this kind of garbage. You should always be calling out, whether you want to call it colonialism. I normally don't deal in colonialism, but war crimes are the kind of things you just got to call out. I'm sorry. I like I said, I don't care what color you are. We're human beings. You just don't defend things like that. You just don't. And I actually, final point here. I've always felt this way in America too. I think if you are a member of an oppressed community, I'm gay. I mean, again, if you Google me, you'd find that out. There is a special responsibility to be good on the issues because you yourself have experienced them, right? So somebody who's gay or black or Jewish or Muslim or an immigrant should be the last person who should be a bigot, right? Because you literally went through this. You should understand, right? And I feel the same way with what they're doing in Latin America and Africa with regards to colonialism. They went through this. They should get it. They should be lecturing us and saying, you should be doing more. because of our history of colonialism. We should be doing even more to stop Russia, but not, Russia. So they're oppressing people. What do you do? All right, let's move on here. I should do a quick little pitch for my work. I knew this was going to be a long one today. We've got a lot of stories, but also a lot of discussion. So, a little bit of tea. Thank you, Chazak. Just really quick. A lot of different ways you guys can support my work, which I very much appreciate. The gifts on TikTok, the gifts on YouTube, all very appreciated. And do check out the subscriptions too. The subscriptions, thank you, Tired Rabbit. Speaking of which, the gifts. The subscriptions are nice because it's basically a monthly way to contribute. And you can do it on TikTok with the TikTok subscriptions. You also can join our Saturday show, Saturday, 11 a.m. Eastern, where we get together only for the paying subscribers as a thank you. Usually Vlad beams in from Ukraine this week, and he gave us a whole map presentation of what was going on in the counteroffensive for half an hour. It was fascinating. Thank you, Chad. On YouTube, you can become a YouTube subscriber. That's something new on YouTube, at least for me. And you'll notice the folks whose names are green, like Luna, Laka. Who else we got here? Craig. I don't want to miss people, but if I scroll back, I'm going to find more. Carrie, you get it. You scroll back, you'll see them. Those are all the folks who are contributing monthly. On YouTube, in principle, you can click at the bottom near the comments. Thank you, Bulford. The $sign, and you should see something that says memberships, hopefully. Not always there, but lots of other ways. But those are really, I would say, the two big ways: TikTok subscriptions and YouTube subscriptions. You can also go to Ko-fi as well, which Jens is reminding me. Ko-fi is another site that works very much like Patreon. It's in my site. You can find via the link in my bio on TikTok, all those links. The link in my bio on TikTok takes you to everything. My Discord link, my TikTok, my YouTube, you name it. For you guys, aravosis.com will take you to all my links. Ko-fi, by the way, is down there at the bottom of the screen. So thank you guys. Any of you guys can help out, I appreciate it. Russia is planning a rather big conscription. The UK Ministry of Defense says that the Russians are talking about recruiting 420,000 contract soldiers by the end of 2023. That's in the next 4 months, which would be huge. Medvedev, who's the kind of drunk lunatic who used to be president and prime minister and now just threatens nuclear war. And I actually mean that. He just threatens nuclear war all the time. He claims that they've already got 280,000 recruited. I have a hard time believing that, maybe. The UK Ministry of Defense says there's really no way to independently confirm that. What was interesting to me was they gave some information on how the conscription and the war effort has already been hurting the Russian workforce, in the economy, which is interesting because we talk about the sanctions, but we don't talk as much about how the war itself is hurting the Russian economy. Listen to this. Institute for Economic Policy found that Russia's industry shortage of workers reached a new high of 42% in July of 2023, 7% higher from April. In contrast to conscription efforts elsewhere in the information technology sector, Russia has taken steps to preserve the workforce. So they're trying to make sure that people who are in the IT industry don't get drafted. This is after 100,000 IT workers fled Russia in 2022. Remember when Putin announced he was doing sort of a mini draft for Ukraine? 100,000 IT workers left. That's 10% of the IT workforce, the information technology workforce. They just fled the country. So Putin signed a decree. This, I think, was last September. Putin signed a decree to increase the exemption age of military recruitment for IT professionals from 27 to 30. So basically, if you're in the IT industry, you're exempt until age 30 from even joining the military, because they don't want all the young, the young computer whizzes to get drafted and, frankly, killed, or flee the country. Anyway, I thought that was very interesting. Ukraine is reportedly making progress, the Ukrainians say, in talks on receiving long-range Taurus missiles from Germany. No news, but if the Ukrainians are saying it's positive, that's good. Good night, Klaus. The German arms manufacturer Rheinmetall will deliver 40 more Marder infantry fighting vehicles. That's Marder, M-A-R-D-E-R, to Ukraine. That's good. I think the total order might be 80. I think there were 40 previous. Either there were 40 previous and this is another 40, or they already promised 80 and this is another 40. But the number was 80 that I saw coming together. The grain deal. This is interesting, actually. I had not heard about this. I guess we didn't hear about it because it was classified. And finally, the British government, I think, made this public today. The Russians fired on a commercial grain ship at a Ukrainian port on August 24th. They fired on a cargo ship. The missiles, which included 2 caliber missiles fired from a Black Sea Fleet missile carrier, were successfully shot down by Ukraine's Air Force. That's interesting. Intelligence shows that an intended target was a Liberian-flagged cargo ship berthed in the Ukrainian port. Interesting. Also very, well, interesting on a number of levels here. One, interesting that the Ukrainians were able to shoot it down. That's great. Or them down, the multiple missiles. Also interesting that the Russians fired on a ship. Remember, we talked about this, about whether the Russians were going to up the ante and actually attack one of the commercial ships. Because if they blow up one of those commercial ships, they could just really, I mean, no one's going to want to sail there at all. But I will say this. Thank you, konnichiwa. Or I should say, arigato, konnichiwa. I speak like, 8 words of Japanese. Those would be one of them. Thank you, Frank Thomas, for the mic check. But anyway, very interesting. What's also interesting to me is Russia might have done that attack on August 24th. But since then, we've now had 3 or 4 ships, cargo ships, get out of Ukraine, and the Russians didn't attack them. But this is, remember, they were in NATO territory. Maybe that's why. Anyway, okay. Ukrainian military intelligence says that calls from Russia to the Ukrainian surrender hotline have increased 70% since the Russian helicopter pilot defected. Remember, the Russian helicopter pilot crossed into Ukraine and defected with his helicopter. He got $500,000 for it, which is pretty much 500,000 euros, same thing. The Ukrainians had set up a hotline a while ago called I Want to Live, is the name of the hotline in Russian or Ukrainian. Somebody told me the other day. And so it's Yahachu Zhits, I guess. And it just means I want to live. And there's, I think you can text them, and there may be a Telegram group as well, a social media group that you can contact privately, blah, blah, blah. And basically the Russians can contact them and go, look, I don't want to fight this war. I want to turn myself over to you. How do I do it? And in the case of these guys, if you've got a helicopter, they're going to give you $500,000 for it. That's a big Yahachu Zhit. Oh, Zhiti? Or Zhit, is it Zhiti or Zhitsi? Zhitsi? I have to hear you guys say it. So you've got Zhiti. Although in Russian, I'm used to sort of thinking of it being a ch at the end as well, like Zhichi or Zhiti. Anyway, close enough. Armenian and U.S. This is interesting. Armenian and U.S. forces today started a joint military exercise. Okay? This was according to Radio Free Europe. The Armenians were buddies with the Russians. Lately, the Armenians have been pissed at the Russians. A number of reasons. I mean, the conflict with Azerbaijan and everything, and the Russians also just don't have the weapons to really help anybody anymore because they're needing them all for Ukraine. The Armenians are pissed, and the Armenians, they gave humanitarian aid to Ukraine recently, which was a big deal. Only humanitarian, but still, they're helping the country Russia's fighting. And now they're joining in NATO exercises with U.S. forces. That's a huge deal. And not good for Russia, obviously, but great for the rest of us. And finally, the Russians put up a statue today to the founder of the Soviet secret police. His name is Felix Dzerzhinsky. The secret police are the, I want to say, it's not Czech. What did they call them? It's like Czech something, right? What's the secret police? Help me, guys. But remember the Soviet secret police back then. We're not talking KGB. I'm talking like the original guys. Remember? In any case, Czechist is like a adjective, exactly. In any case, is it NKVD? But you know what I mean. The name for them. The name Czeka. Is it Czeka? Maybe it is Czeka. No, guys. It's Checkers. Maybe it is Czeka. It's Czech something. Yeah. In any case, these people were awful. I mean, these people were absolutely awful. You don't hold Czechisti. You do not hold a ceremony to raise a statue to the Soviet secret police. I mean, these are the most horrific people on the planet. The problem here is this is Russia again playing this game where Putin is trying to harken back to the old days, right? This is, I mean, it reminds me of American politicians who, look back to the 1950s as the good old days, although way different, because America in the 1950s was nothing like Russia in the 1950s, which was an outright dictatorship. But Putin is trying to revive this notion of, during the Soviet times, we were a great country. Things worked, right? The flags they keep putting up Soviet flags. That idiot Soloviev, who's one of their commentators on TV, was wearing a USSR sweatshirt the other day. I mean, they're trying to build up this national pride in who they were. Thank you, Timothy, because they're not very proud of who they are, is the thing, right? And it's pretty screwed up, but it's also very dangerous. Thank you, Marie, because, these guys are, they're revering their own, it's not just an imperialist past, their own past of being just dictatorial murderers. This is not something you should aspire to. Thank you, Gamma, but they are. All right, that's it for the news for today. I don't have any auctions up, so I will spare you the auction stuff. I'm actually skipping the auctions for this week because I just got back to DC and I have so many cool auction items. I mean, a ridiculous number of auction items that it's kind of crazy, which I will be figuring out in the next day or two. Maybe I'll put them up Wednesday, but cool big pieces of Russian fighter jets that were shot down over Ukraine. Beautiful. Oh God, I just received today some beautiful, beautifully designed, a woman in Ukraine who's the mother of somebody that has been working with the charity we're with, made us, she's an artist. She made us a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, I will show you the small thing. Okay. This would be a small example. Okay. I mean, this is a small example. This is like nothing. She made these fridge ornaments that she's painted by hand. Now, I mean, I say nothing because you've got to see the big ones. I mean, these are just, this is in the shape of Ukraine, which is really neat. She's made some big things that are absolutely insane. I mean, the little ones are nice as fridge mat. They are very pretty. Hold on. I'm going to grab one anyway, just for fun. Hold on. The big ones blow my mind. Oh yeah. Yeah. Here's one. Here, I'm going to show you two of them. Here. Okay. These are two of them to show you really quick. I'm wearing flip-flops, actually, not slippers. So this is one of them. I mean, I'm trying to get the thing. I mean, look at this. It's absolutely gorgeous. And she painted these by hand. I mean, well, she's a legitimate artist, right? But look at this, beautiful. And she also, check this out, painted by hand some grocery bags or carry bags. Look at this thing, guys. I was like, she should have done these as like paintings. I mean, they're literally painted by hand. They were still a little sticky. I've got to let them dry a little bit more. I mean, look at this stuff. Anyway, absolutely stunning stuff. Yeah, no, she's got a couple of different bags, a couple of different of the, like I said, these guys, this one I just think is beautiful. Well, what's interesting is because there's a little bit of them being grandma art to me, but it's cool. Well, actually close you can see. It's cool folk art though. Like it's just beautifully done, And I love, like I said, that she's done these. She signed them, which is really nice too. Signed them at the bottom. Really neat. Yeah. So anyway, I'm very excited because I'm going to put these back actually so I don't get them, like I don't mess with them. Oops. And let's put this over here. There we go. Okay, that's good. Anyway, so that is a small sample of, pick this up. Small sample of stuff. Really cool stuff. It's folk art, exactly. It's really neat. I mean, I love this stuff. So I admit I'm going to be picking a few things for myself, as I am wont to do, as you guys know. But otherwise, we'll be auctioning them off over at the Discord. Haven't started yet, but I will probably put it up. The woman's name, I've got her name here. putting it out there when we do this, but she's the mother of, I believe, one of the volunteers with the Ukrainian charity that we've been working with since the war started, the charity that delivers the meals and everything else. And they're also the charity that's organizing the camouflage net making. She's the mother, and the girl told her mom that we've been, auctioning things in America to help the Ukrainians. So she made them for us. And I just got this beautiful box. I mean, the box had a lot of stuff. I've got it over there now. It's a lot of stuff. It was really cool. Yeah, just beautiful stuff. But anyway, yeah. So like I said, we'll see more of it. All right. Randy wants to buy peaches for everyone, I think. Okay. I wasn't not following Ukraine. Oh, I see. Randy. Yeah. Oh, Randy. Randy's also fake because Randy's using a program to translate what he wrote. So Randy is like the ultimate in fake bots. You can always tell because Randy's gone now. You can always tell because whenever you see those messages that don't make sense in English and you think it's probably like a troll or something, and you notice, for example, they're missing spaces. So like it'll say something, comma, and then there won't be a space before the next word. It'll just be the next word. I've been told that that's because, I've been told that that's because the translation programs basically screw up. So it's people that are using non-Latin based languages, so that it totally, anyway, kind of funny. Julius, thank you for the super chat question. Yeah, be better, Randy. Be better, Randy. Julius says, not sure if you've heard as yet, but I read an article today that Crimea and several other regions in Russia are having gas shortages due to attacks, damaged infrastructure, lack of personnel, etc. I have heard anecdotally that there were gas shortages in Crimea. The thing is, I never had heard anything definitive about it. I had simply seen I'm changing my temperature again in here. It always, like I said, it goes cold, it goes hot. There we go. I'd only seen somebody I follow on Twitter who does defense stuff mentioning it. Thank you, Magical. But I'd never seen for sure if it was true. So I haven't seen any, from what did you read it anywhere credible? You know what I'm saying? Something beyond the tabloids or whatever. But I hope it's true. I don't know if it's true. Now, it would be great. Obviously great if it's true. Also, because it'd be interesting if it's true as to why it's happening, right? Meaning, did the Ukrainians knock out the fuel supply? Is it the Kerch Bridge causing problems, slowing down the traffic? What exactly? Because frankly, then you want to make sure that pressure point is just turned entirely, right? U.S. okayed ATACMS, unless it just happened. What happened over the last several days is there was a story, maybe Friday, I think, because one of you pointed it out, from ABC News, big news outlet here in the States, claiming that the administration was going to approve them. And then one of the sources said, well, not really. They're on the table. The ATACMS are on the table. Biden still has to decide, right? So we don't really know. Unless something happened in the last couple minutes, Biden still hasn't decided. Now, it would be a big deal if he decides. I'm watching my dog. She's just meandering on the balcony. But I know she's going to want to come in soon, so I keep watching her. Nope. Yeah, there you go. I know you. Now she's jumping up. I know my dog. All right. All day she's been doing this. It's been a very nice day finally in DC. Well, pretty nice. So we've had 20 times a day, in and out, in and out, in and out. All right. Yeah, but the ATACMS. So, let's see. He hasn't approved them yet. I hope he does. Obviously we hope he does, but he hasn't yet. These are the longer range missiles that fire from the HIMARS, which is nice. And they would allow the Ukrainians to basically cut off the Russian logistics on the highway that goes all the way along here. Now, Russia is over here and over here, right? So part of the way Russia supplies the occupied territories, especially over here, is via a highway that goes through here. Well, if the Ukrainians can get close enough or get longer missiles, they will be able to hit this highway and cause, big trouble for moose and squirrel. So we hope that would be a big deal. Thank you for that, Julius. But I don't know that there was, I don't think there's anything news on it yet. Okay. Julius is going to give us another article, or the article he was quoting. What else we got, guys? What else we got? It could help us destroy the bridge. It could. Well, actually, I did see one thing. one of the defense experts I was reading last night said that they were they were concerned. They thought, I don't think Callum's here tonight. They thought the Brits put limits, that the British puts limits on the Storm Shadow cruise missile, that the Ukrainians weren't allowed to use it to attack the Kerch Bridge. Now, adjusting my light here. I don't know that that's Callum left early. Too bad. I don't know that that's entirely true. Thank you, Stevie. But this person said, if in fact the Brits put limits on it, the Americans might put limits on the ATACMS and say you're not allowed to attack the Kerch Bridge with it, which would be real BS if we did that. Let's hope we don't. But, I mean, Callum, I'll give him credit because it is like 1 o'clock in the morning where he lives, but, over in Europeville. Anyway, what else we got, guys? More questions. The Storm Shadows are launched by plane. Yep. Oh, I see. You guys are talking about, yeah. Scotland. He's in Scotland. Exactly. Thank you, Fred, for the hat on TikTok. Oh, is it midnight in the UK? Oh, then he has no excuse for that. Okay. It's only 5. You guys are only 5 hours ahead? Oh, forget it then. Okay. No excuse. Anything new on Musk? Nothing new. Elon Musk. The latest from Elon Musk, which I don't think I do have this. Hold on. I'm going to read this to you. Elon, as you know, is in a lot of trouble because a new book came out today claiming that Elon Musk killed the internet to Crimea just as Ukrainian drones were about to strike the Russian fleet there, because Elon thought it was a bad idea to attack the Russian fleet because it would cause nuclear war, and that had nothing to do with the fact that Elon apparently just spoke to Putin or senior Russian officials right before he made this decision. And then Elon came out and said, that's not true. I never told you that. And then the author went, oh my God, I guess you never did tell me that, which of course is ridiculous because, the author probably has tapes of the conversations. Anyway, so Elon's latest was particularly funny today. This is where I say Elon Musk is not a particularly smart man. There is, little bits of smart to him, I'm sure, but I think he's also incredibly dumb in some ways. Let me read this to you. So Elon writes this today. Okay, hang on. 1 second. Oops, I may have already skipped. I think I did already skip it. Hold on. Where is this? Oh, it's a reply. That's why TikTok is so screwed up. Here we go. Elon writes, I am a citizen of the United States and have only that passport. I mean, even saying it like that, like who says that? I am a citizen of the United States and only have that passport. No matter what happens, I will fight for and die in America. I don't know, dying in America seems a little weird. What do you mean die in America? I mean, right? A little weird. Fight for America is good. Die in America? Like, it doesn't really, we don't really care where you die. That's sort of not part of the whole patriotic thing, right? You're allowed to die anywhere. But fighting for us is important. Then he says this, the United States Congress has not declared war on Russia. If anyone is treasonous, it is those who call me such. He's responding to being called a traitor and having committed treason by helping the enemy, by helping Russia. And while Elon is technically correct, because I am a lawyer, thank you, Julius, for that. I'll get to it in a sec. While Elon is technically correct that it is not treason unless we are at war, second of all, he committed, treason, so to speak, thank you, Jalopy, against not treason, but his crime is against the Ukrainians, not against the Americans. But he did help a foreign enemy, but he helped Ukraine's foreign enemy, right? It has to be America's foreign enemy, and we have to be at war. So technically, he's correct. The only problem I have with this is typically, and maybe Elon needs like America advice since he's an immigrant. I don't, he seems to be having some problems here. But typically, when you're accused of committing treason, your response should be, I did not commit treason, right? Your response should not be, well, technically, it's not treason because we're not at war, right? In other words, you're kind of confessing you did it, but technically it's not treason, right? Thank you, adventurers. Anybody who says technically it's not treason is kind of admitting they did something, right? I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, the answer is, I'm not a traitor. I did nothing wrong. That's the answer. that an innocent person gives. But I love that. Technically, we're not at war. Oh, okay, Elon. And mind you, Elon, because Elon being Elon, he's so proud of himself that he got this tidbit of information. Did you know that to commit treason, we have to be at war? And Elon figures he's like the only man in the world who knows this now. So he's going to go online and go, it's not treason unless we're at war. And laughter, he was just like, oh yeah, I'm cool. Drives me nuts. We also found out this weekend that he has another child that no one knew about. And the child's name is like Technicus Mechanicus. I'm off a couple letters. Does anybody remember what the name of the kid is? It's insane. Absolutely insane. I do not understand. I just do not understand. Anyway. Oh, it really is. Somebody Google the name. You'll see what I mean. It's like Technicus Mechanicus. He named the poor kid. Oh no, Techno's the short. Google the full name. Google the poor kid's full name. It's sad. It's sad. Yeah, the first kid's called X along with Optimus. He's got one. He's got three of them that are pretty wacky. One of them, well, X's name continues into gibberish. It's like XAE / blah, blah, blah. Technicus Mechanicus. There you go. Technicus Mechanicus. As somebody said, the guy named his three kids XAE, blah, 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 Technicus Mechanicus, and then whatever the third one's name is equally wacky. And he complains that, why does the world make fun of me and not respect me? And it's like, R2, he should have named the kid R2D2. No, it is like, what do you don't do that to kids? No, I'm sorry. He's got like a screw loose. He really does. C3PO would have been even better, actually. Yeah. R2D2 and C3PO. And then one of them could just be called Robot for Lost in Space. Just call the kid Robot. And you've got to sort of say it like Dr. Smith. Robot. Anyway, all right, guys. It does sound like a Monty Python sketch. Totally sounds like a Monty Python sketch. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my. PlayStation. There's lots of names he could come up for the next dozen kids that he has. It does sound like a Transformer. Totally, Lee. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, he's insane. Optimus Prime. He probably would name Optimus Prime almost isn't as bad. Optimus is interesting, but Jesus, these names. Anyway, Daddy. All right, what else, guys? What else? Do we have more questions? More issues we want to talk about? Is Russia attempting to get their young men to return? Some of them, yes. I read about this just the other day. The Russians have been basically allowing many. We can go to Discord for a little bit tonight. Yeah. The Russians have been allowing many of the people who fled to come back, but not all of them. And I'm not quite sure if it's people who went abroad and maybe publicly criticized Russia or what, right? I don't know. So Julius is saying the original article about the gas shortages is in Newsweek. Just Google Crimea's running out of gas. Okay. Yeah, Newsweek, Newsweek typically rewrites articles from somewhere else. Now, Newsweek is no longer Newsweek. They used to be like literally one of the top two magazines in America. They're not anymore, unfortunately. So yeah, that doesn't tell us enough. Yeah. Well, we'll Google it and see, but I hope it's true. Absolutely. Stephen Bartlett says, isn't buying ammo and weapons from North Korea really just buying from China? That's interesting. I don't know enough about North Korean weapons production. I just don't. I don't know where it comes from. All right. See you, Chezek. Right. So I don't know whether how much of the weapons they produce themselves, how much they've gotten from China. I did hear that North Korea's got really old weapons, which makes you think, therefore, China has not been giving them really new ones, right? Because they were talking about the artillery being from that Russia may be trying to get is from the 1960s or something, right? So if it is from the 1960s, that's clearly not new, unless China's just giving them old garbage, right? So who knows? Thank you, Jalopy and Master Blaster, for the pizza. I don't know about that. Why did the social aspect of support for Ukraine fall shortly? I'm not sure what you mean. After the war started, what do you mean with the social aspect? I don't know. How do I think the war will end? I really don't know. There's too many variables. And what I mean is Ukraine could do significantly well the counteroffensive in the next few months. They could not, maybe as well. Russia, not doing well either. Russia also is having weapons shortages. Does the long-term benefit Russia? Traditionally, we kind of worry as to whether we can stay in the game, right? But at the same time, can Russia stay in the game? Because their weapons, like I said, they're running out of weapons too. They're at some point, their citizens are going to get really tired. Like right now, you need another 400,000 men. Like, what's the deal? This was supposed to be a 3-day military operation. At some point, people back home may start getting pissed off too. I just don't know. I'm also not convinced that as much as Biden, I think, plays a little bit of a game with Ukraine, and frankly, France and Germany too, sometimes, I think all those countries would kind of freak out at the notion of Ukraine losing. Like, if Russia really starts to advance and take over more of Ukraine, I don't know. Like, we've talked about this before. I don't know what Poland will do or the Baltic states. I don't know. I think it gets complicated fast in terms of other countries saying, screw it, we're going in, So I don't know. I really don't. Obviously, I hope it wins where Russia loses all its land, but all its land in Ukraine at least. But I don't know. So I think I do. Let me see. I know enough Russian to translate that. Yeah, that's what I figured. You're leaving us. I figured you were Russian or something. I know enough Russian that I read, you don't know what's going on. Yeah, well, whatever. I'm going to bet I know more about what's going on in Ukraine than some Russian troll does. That's a guarantee. Thank you, Cami. Yes, give me food. I mentioned that earlier that U.S. and Armenia are having a joint military exercise, which is a big deal. Really bad for Russia, considering Armenia was sort of traditionally tied to Russia or allied with Russia. Craig Prescott asks, could Ukraine issue an extradition request for Musk? Sure. If they broke a law. The only problem is, thank you, Pam Pam. Typically, you need to have, and Cami as well, you need to have extradition treaties. So countries have treaties with each other to extradite. I don't know that the U.S. has an extradition treaty with Ukraine. Also, I don't know whether Musk technically broke the law. I don't know in Ukraine. Maybe he did, right? I just don't know. But they sure could. Oh, thank you, Igor. Always trust. We are very happy to help. Trust me, all of us here. You want must to be deleted? Join the club. Thank you, Dawn. What else, guys? Make sure I got deep. Sure, just making sure I actually got the beaches one kind of clearly about something I did not see discussion over. Okay, good. I am caught up. Yeah, the extradition thing is funny. That's interesting. I mean, Ukraine could do it just to be a PITA if they wanted to, but I did see something, by the way, this weekend, which I did not realize that. I think it was Bill Gates, right, the head of Microsoft, said that he was talking with Elon, and clearly Bill Gates does not think much of Elon, but he was saying that Elon was explaining to him at some point why he wants to go to Mars. And Elon wants to go to Mars because he's convinced civilization will destroy itself and we're all going to end in a nuclear war where we all die. And then the Martians of Elon's Martians are going to come back and populate the Earth. Now, it's kind of goofy, but at the same time, I guess it's not a terrible idea, to have a few humans other places just to be safe. But at the same time, give me a break. Right. This is why he has 11 kids. Well, because we're all going to have because a couple can survive a nuclear war. I mean, it's a little weird. I mean, you want to colonize Mars because we're all going to die. And Moonraker, was that, I didn't remember. Was that the plot of Moonraker, that they were going up there and then they were going to nuke the Earth? I didn't remember that. Is that it actually? Oh God, if that's it, that's probably where he got the idea from. Oh, that's hilarious. Oh, that is funny. Oh my God. Oh my, he's insane, but I could see him doing that. Oh, excuse me. All right, guys, you know what? Let me do a quick final pitch again for the fundraiser we're doing for the Ukrainian military. And then I'm going to round up the news, and then we'll go to Discord for about 15 minutes. And then I'm going to make actually, I may even put dinner on while we're talking. We'll see. Yeah, so what we are doing is We only need to raise $700. Vlad was my friend Vlad in Ukraine, who a lot of you know, who coordinates all of our fundraising. We've raised over $100,000 for Ukraine in the last year and a half. All of it goes to Ukraine. I raise money for myself during the lives, like your guys' gifts and stuff, which I very much appreciate. But the money we raise for Ukraine just goes to Ukraine. So we're taking donations to raise only $700 is all we need. So your gift will have a huge impact to buy one. What did you guys call it? A rangefinder, I think you called it. Basically, we need 2 pieces of equipment to help a trainer who is training Ukrainian troops on how to be snipers. And he's a former sniper. Vlad knows him, and apparently got injured in the war. So he's no longer able to snipe, but he is now training other Ukrainian troops how to be snipers, which, long range shots, right? And he needs 2 pieces of equipment, one of which is a rangefinder, which is, what's the point of the rangefinder? I don't really know how this works. We did raise money for Kharkiv. We did for a lot of the people that needed food. Yep. But basically, they use the rangefinder to somehow figure out the distance, and it helps them figure out, to hit their target. And the other thing, which I had no idea, but you guys were telling me, is they use a little device to divine the weather and to figure out wind speed and all this other stuff. And that helps them somehow also target better. I had no idea on this. He needs both of these to train his troops. They just don't have the cash. I mean, obviously the military gets, basically they get the weapons, but I think a lot of this little stuff they don't get. So he asked Vlad to raise the money. It's only $700. If you guys can help, I'd appreciate it. You can find the link. I'll take yours off for one quick second, Julius. You can find the link for you guys on YouTube. Not the link. That's Vlad's PayPal information. We're just giving directly to Vlad. Vlad's done this for us for a year and a half, so he's trustworthy. But give the money to Vlad via PayPal, and he knows any money coming in right now is for the sniper training. For you guys on YouTube, on TikTok, you go to my profile, click the link, and you will see what comes up in the Linktree link. I will even show you. So TikTok, there's my friend Tim. TikTok, you click the Linktree link in my profile, and at the very top, you will see the top at the first item is a Ukrainian flag, and it says, help train Ukrainian snipers. We need $700. Now, that is not a link. That simply gives you my friend Vlad's PayPal information. So that's Vlad's PayPal. That's his email for PayPal. You will go into your PayPal, you will enter Vlad's PayPal, and you will make your donation. But if you guys can help, I'd appreciate it. It's only $700. And again, any of you guys who aren't into the military stuff, that's totally cool. But anybody who is, I just think it's kind of neat. And it's kind of nice because it's yet another thing where we're able to just do it. We're able to help in a small way, but a very concrete way, which is kind of cool. If they need the night goggles and everything else, I don't know. I mean, basically, the good thing too, when we do this fundraising, Vlad gets these requests directly from the military, from people he knows. So we're able to get the right stuff. It's literally, I'm an idiot too. You know what? I even have the video, guys. I meant to show you the video Vlad sent me of the guy. He did tell me too, the guy has had 3 concussions. I mean, because of the war. So, he really can't, he can't fight anymore, but he's still a good sniper. So he's sniping. Let me show you really quick. But yeah, the guy did a video sort of pitching the need for these. 1 second here. I mean, I'll just let you hear it really quick. But where is this? I'll just let you read the text really quick. But he's talking about becoming an instructor to help train people after he was a sniper. I like how they translated boys and girls. It's cute. Talking about the stuff they need. Anyway, the weather station. You get the idea. I just wanted to, I meant to put it up. I'm going to put it up on the Discord. So anyway, if you guys can help, it's only $700. If we get more than $700, we're going to apply it to the next fundraiser. The next fundraiser is most likely going to be buying a drone extender to make it so that the drone operators can go even farther. Also, we're always raising money as well for the camouflage nets, so it could go to that too. But anything over 700, we're going to just put it to our next fundraiser. So again, 0 goes to me, 0 goes to Vlad. So, but as I said, I like these fundraisers because they're kind of cool. It's just a nice way of being able to help out and know that in a concrete way you helped. So if you can, thank you guys. All right. Anyway, all right, let me do the quick news summary, and then we'll go to Discord for a few minutes, and then I'm going to eat. Thank you, Jalopy. Today's day 565 of Putin's 3-day special military operation. Kim Jong-un, dictator of North Korea, is traveling to Russia for a summit with Putin. Ukraine this weekend regained control of several oil rigs in the Black Sea, which is a big deal because they were able to get, what were they able to get? Some helicopter parts, I think, and also some long-range missile radars, which was really cool and helpful, not just cool. The Ukrainian forces have liberated part of the village of Opitne, which is right north of Donetsk, a big city in eastern Ukraine occupied by the Russians. And this is a big deal because now they're very close to the airport, which means they can really start to cause havoc with the Russians in that city, which is good. Vlad said also this weekend, the Ukrainians have taken the town of Klishivka, which is overlooking Bakhmut. This is a big deal because now the Ukrainians, in principle, have got a really great, scary position from up on high, looking down on the Russians, which means they can, again, bomb them quite significantly. Ukraine thinks its pilots could be in F-16s as early as next February. The Americans still have to agree to that. Reuters says the president of Brazil backed out of his claim that he was going to let Putin come to the G20 summit in Brazil next year, and he wouldn't arrest him, and now says he's going to leave it up to the Brazilian judiciary to decide. British Ministry of Defense says the Russian military intends to recruit 420,000 contract soldiers by the end of 2023. I remain skeptical, but who knows? Ukraine is making progress in talks with Germany on receiving long-range Taurus missiles. This, according to Ukraine's foreign minister. The German arms manufacturer Rheinmetall will deliver 40 more Marder infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. That's a big deal. Grain deal. Yes. So the more information has emerged that the Russians attacked a civilian cargo ship in a Ukrainian port on August 24th. The Ukrainians were able to shoot down the incoming missiles. No damage was done. The Ukrainian military intelligence says that calls from Russia to Ukraine's defector hotline have increased 70% since the Ukrainians paid a Russian pilot $500,000 to defect with his plane, mind you, with the helicopter. Armenia and the U.S. Started joint military exercises today. Not going to make Russia very happy. And a statue of Felix Dzerzhinsky, the founder of the Soviet secret police, was erected in Moscow today, which is completely insane because we're talking some of the worst criminals on the planet, and the Russians are now starting to revere them. Scary. All right, guys, let's go. I go to disco. Let's go to disco. Let's go to Discord for a little bit, maybe not horrifically long because it's already 7:20 and I'm getting hungry. But we'll go to Discord for a few minutes. It's over discord.aravosis.com. And we'll have a disco party. And look for the John's after party up at the top. You'll see it, and join us. And I will get it going right now. Make sure when you go there, you turn up the volume so you can hear me. Everybody else chats by typing. Usually we get 30 to 50 of us, and we hang out for a bit. And like I said, I may even, actually, my dinner's not going to take long to cook, though. So I may go for 15 minutes. Well, I've got gnocchi. I mean, the gnocchi are going to take 3 minutes to cook. So I may not, it's not going to take long, but I'm just very hungry. So yeah, John Travolta's not joining us, just John Aravosis. All right, guys, let me sign off. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you, mods. And otherwise, join us tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern time, US, okay? All right. Thank you, Sean. Very nice last minute. Nice to do a last minute gift period, and a very nice one as well. So thank you for that. All right, guys, I will see you over there, or I'll see you tomorrow night. All right. Thank you. Discord.aravosis.com. All right. See y'all.